what came to mind.
Did you expect that? The most recent game.
You know what I'm saying? I think LeBron James got the Jordan effect.
If we're going to start, they know the game that you're talking about.
Welcome, listener. You are now listening to Big Dudes with Issues. My name is Faulty Tone.
And my name is D-Vader.
And we'd like to welcome you to our show.
Welcome. Your boys are back in town. It's your boy D-Vader.
And your boy Faulty Tones.
Hey, and you know it's the good sports season now. You know, football season back in this place. You know, and we got a lot to talk about here because there's a lot of teams that look good and there's a lot of teams that look kind of bad. Yeah. But you know, the season hasn't started yet, and we're going to definitely indulge in this conversation. So first, let's talk about a few things. First and foremost, the Ravens and the Bears played the other night, and I have to say, Mr. Jackson looks like he can be a high quality quarterback for the Ravens. They need that leg speed. I feel like that they're going to but use him other places as well because of his speed. Maybe like an H-back or like a split out, you know, like maybe a slot receiver or something like that, something quick, quick balls. But quarterback-wise, me personally, I feel like he's better than RG3. That's just my opinion.
You think he's better than RG3?
That's just my opinion. I feel like he's going because the way that he plays, RG3 is definitely a pass-first quarterback, but he has a speed that he can get away from anybody. But RG3's issue and what I feel like has been happening with him, especially when he got his injury, he spends too much time looking downfield and not trying to avoid what's coming at him. Because anytime he touched the ball, he get hit.
That's because of the offensive line.
I mean, true. Very, very true. You have a valid point there. But also, Kirk Cousins didn't do that bad when he was in. You see what I'm saying? That's the same line.
That's because when you have a offensive package for certain quarterbacks, let's say RG3, you know, it was the run game mixed in with the long, you know, the pass play, bring the safeties up, throw it deep. With Cousins, they felt like they had a better package where they could give out multiple schemes and he would pick it up faster. Well, with RG3, all he need is a good run game, which he had. The problem was that if the offensive line went up against a good front four, it'd be game over. RG3 was going to be put on his back every single time. One of the things I hate the most that a lot of people say is that, if he's a scramble quarterback, he needs to stay in the pocket. But when he stays in the pocket and he gets hit, they were saying, that's because he scrambled. Scramble where? He in the pocket.
He's in the pocket. Now, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like he spends too much time looking downfield. And I feel like that is also a contribution from the coach, allowing him to do that. Because RG3, and even whenever you're looking at his college tapes, like, RG3 didn't spend that much time looking down the field because he knew plays, he knew where people were going to be, and he had the right. You know, the coach gave him that green light to use his feet anytime he wanted to. But whenever he came to the Redskins, it seemed like that, you know, it was an issue whenever he used his feet because he didn't complete the pass.
He was too busy trying to meet that hard nose type of he was way too busy trying to meet the standard. And what he should have did when he got hurt was sit down. But he was like, no, I can play football.
That was his fault.
Yeah, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm gonna show y'all I can handle the hit. Just because I'm skinny doesn't mean I can't handle the hit. Why would you want to play a game where you see quarterbacks that don't get hit get 4,000, 5,000 yards? You want to be a quarterback at 210 taking on hits?
Nah, brother. That's not the way to go.
The Jackson kid,
He's evasive. Good God, he's evasive.
The only way he gonna survive is if he can understand the playbook.
Yeah, and that's gonna be key. Like, and that's one thing I do see, and another thing that I feel that coaches don't take responsibility for. Now, I do understand that, yes, this is a grown man. Yes, you're in the business of, learning these plays because that is your job. But also in the same sense, you as a coach should have a lot of say and a lot of leeway when it comes to these players learning these plays. If you feel like this player is not adequate enough, then don't play him. Simple. Or simplify the book so they can understand it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and have this 5-star talent that I know that can just decimate, an entire field and bench him because you don't know the playbook. Like, you really got to think about that. Is it me just being stern and wanting everybody to just know these plays? Or can I modify this playbook just to fit the person so it can happen? They modified the playbook for Michael Vick. They definitely did that. Because that was one of his weaknesses. He didn't really know the plays like that.
Man, he ain't study plays until he got
pretty much to the Eagles.
Yeah, to the Eagles.
To the Eagles. But then they recognized that and they switched the playbook up to fit Michael Vick, and it worked. They didn't win a championship. They got far. They had a great team, but he played well his first 2 years. After that, he was like, it's Michael Vick. Yeah. But that was after jail time. That was after, all of that stuff. So, it's possible. But I feel like a lot of these coaches don't take that responsibility because they're like, oh, you should be a grown man. But you got to think about it. A lot of these kids coming out of college are, 20, 21?
Yeah.
Like, they still got raging hormones. Like, they don't know what's going on. Like, and you're asking them to literally read the Bible, understand it back and forth, every single play, which can be done, don't get me wrong. But also understanding these kids, because that's what they come into the NFL as. They're still kids. Mm-hmm. Understanding where they come from, their academic capability as far as learning stuff. It's really daunting on the player to have to, it's like, oh, dang, I got to perform. And then, let's say you get hurt. Shoot, you might not get paid that next year. You might get cut.
But that's part of the direction, though.
That doesn't happen in the NBA.
If you want to be directed to where you can make money and you can be, symbolized as, a proficient person, mm-hmm. If you're going to go the route of being considered the best ever, mm-hmm. you got to go through the trials.
Do you?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah. Name one person that had it. They just had a clean, easy way the entire time. Didn't have to study nothing. Didn't have to look at nothing. Just showed up on the field and was like, boom, I'm the best.
I mean, LT.
What do you mean by LT?
LT. What? Talking about the defensive tackle, LT.
So
LT was high on cocaine every single game.
What was that? What does that mean?
He didn't run plays. He just ran at him.
He didn't have to call plays.
But he didn't have to call plays, but they have plays on defense.
He had outside linebacker.
Hey, bro, it don't matter.
Outside linebacker.
You gotta know. You gotta know schemes. You gotta go over the plays that they run to understand what's going on. LT just came in with a head full of steam and just tackled whoever was in front of him.
When you are in the league and they hire you, all right, and it's for any job. Mm-hmm. If they hire you for a specific role, there's going to be a time where you're going to learn mm-hmm. something about human resources, mm-hmm. learn about what your supervisor has to do. Mm-hmm. But there's just little implications of what they do and what their job is. When you get hired for a specific job and they got to train you, they're training you for one specific thing. When LT got drafted. When he got drafted, he was drafted to do one thing: sack quarterbacks. So most of the time, Wolf, Sam. They just calling blitzes for him. He ain't had to do nothing except blitz. That's it.
You're right. But he had to know where to go, how to get there, the capabilities of the people across from him. He had there had to be some kind of film study. You had to look to understand not just the game, but what you're going up against. There had to be some kind of field of study. LT didn't even go to practice. I mean,
he worked out. he did not work out at all.
I'm gonna tell you hey, y'all, practice. Man, we talking about practice.
He worked out. He worked out. You know what I'm saying? Even Allen Iverson had to dribble the ball a couple times.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. He in his line, especially in that age of quarterback, or not quarterback, but age in his position, there was no set standard for him to actually really learn anything. There was no set standard.
All he had to do was work out and know what play was being called. And it goes to what I'm saying. There is no easy street with if you want to go and be the best at something, you have to learn something. He had to learn to work out. He had to learn how to do a swim move or pass rush.
But we're talking about the deftness, as far as being able to learn the plays. If your coach, you should be able to know these plays in your sleep, regardless of the situation. As him being a linebacker, you have to know the formation that the other team is in. You have to. Because if you don't and you go to the wrong spot, that's a blown play. That's probably a 6. He would still have to know and understand that stuff. But there was a learning curve because they allowed him to pretty much just rush A and B gap. And if they wanted him, stay home. Watch the ball. Those were his commands.
Yeah.
That was it. But that's what I'm saying. If you take a linebacker like Luke Kuechly can tell you exactly what formation you coming in and the 5 plays that you normally run out of that formation. LT could not do that. But that's what I'm saying. The game, and I will say this. Now the game has changed from then until now because yes, there's a lot more statistics in it. There's a lot more numbers to it. It's not just hardcore gridiron grit, and all the other stuff.
Yeah, see, I get what you're saying. If you're gonna be a professional athlete, you're gonna play football. You're gonna be a quarterback. You're gonna be the best quarterback ever. If somebody believes you're that person, and you go into the league and they find all that's wrong about you because in their definition of what a pro athlete is that you have to learn A through Z, and you only know A, B, C, and then you skipped a couple other alphabets and went to T and finally got to Z. And they figure that, because you know how to run and you have an arm, that, there's some exceptions to the rules. Let's go ahead and go with the alphabets that you do know and plug it into the system that we have. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The thing to me is if, RG3, back then, his best time playing was when he wasn't hurt.
Yes.
So this Jackson dude, all right?
Okay.
He's got requirements, plays he has to learn. And this is my point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to be in the league and the league conforms to what you are good at, and it's going to be like LT. It's going to be like LT, where it's like, hey, do what you do best until they stop you, and then when they stop you, then you're going to have to learn the rest of the alphabet. Well, with that being said, why is it such a problem? All right, for most of the athletes to learn the rest of the stuff. You know why? Because once the kid believes he's amazing.